Is classic potentiometers that come stock in your controller better than TMR technology? Well, we're going to dive deep into this and figure out exactly what's going on here, because someone in my comments says that I'm a liar and I'm a scammer because all you have to do is just clean your potentiometers on your controller and your stick drift is magically gone. Well, let's dive deep into this and let's see if that's correct. We're going to clean the sensors and let's see if it improves anything and if it actually makes your controller work like brand new again. And let's take a look at the TMR technology and determine whether or not these are going to break down like these will. Now, to start off with, the difference between classic potentiometers and TMR. Classic uses a carbon sensor with a metal brush that rubs against the carbon sensor, which wears down the carbon sensor and the metal brush, which causes stick drift. The carbon deposits, flakes across the entire sensor, and metal fragments embed into the carbon sensor. This uses a neodymium magnet and has an IC chip that reads the magnetic waves to determine the positioning of the stick. So let's take a look at this and figure out what's better and what's failing on this.
This controller has extreme stick drift. Take a look at these joysticks. It's got some serious finger cheese. Look at that shake in that stick. Severe stick drift. These are classic potentiometer symptoms after you've used a controller for like 6 months to a year. Your joystick loses its accuracy and precision. As you can tell here, this stick is literally spazzing out, going left to right, left to right. And that is not good. And that's the center of the stick. Now, this stick typically is pushed forward to the center and then moved back and forth as you're walking forward. This is usually your stick for moving characters. So that area is definitely going to show some serious signs of wear towards the center of the stick. When looking at the circularity of the stick, you'll notice that there's certain sections of that circularity that's overshooting the circle of the joystick. That is the result of a joystick's potentiometer not being very accurate in detecting small micro adjustments. As you push that joystick forward and you move it around that circle, it makes a small adjustment down on the potentiometer, and if it doesn't pick up on those small micro adjustments, it may jitter upwards and causing the joystick to overshoot that calibration. That is a result of a joystick really beginning to degrade on its overall precise accuracy of the stick. As you can see on that one, it had a 12.9 circularity. Now, if we take a look at the right joystick, you're going to notice how this joystick is really spazzing out and wanting to go to the left. It's because the carbon deposits on the potentiometer have really broken down and the metal brushes have worn down into the carbon sensor, leaving behind metal fragments embedding into the carbon sensor, causing that joystick to spaz out and short out to the left side of the stick. Now we're going to see if we can clean up this potentiometer and resolve this problem by cleaning it, because clearly some people in the comment section claim that you can clean potentiometers and it will fix these issues with the stick drift. So I'm going to figure out and see if this is true or not. I've done this before and I didn't see any success, but we're going to do it again, and I want to show you under a microscope what it really looks like at a potentiometer, and can you really fix a potentiometer by cleaning it. Now, if you notice, I just ran this graph here on the joystick analyzer, and it literally showed a data point of 2 because that joystick spazzed out so quick that the motherboard control of the controller couldn't pick up any voltage change whatsoever correctly. This time it got a 15. That's horrible. So I'm going to pull this controller apart, remove the joystick's potentiometer, and I'm going to clean it up and see if that resolves the problem. And then we're going to compare the left joystick, which is a little bit better than the right joystick, and get a little bit of a comparison there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull apart this controller and remove the potentiometer. Removing the potentiometer from the controller, I now look under the microscope, and we're going to hit it with some alcohol and take a look at these carbon sensors. As you can see, the carbon sensor does have a little bit of silicone grease, which they try to add onto these sensors to help prolong the lifespan of the joysticks so that they don't wear down as quick, because without that silicone, these controllers would fall apart very quickly. As you can see, as I hit this carbon sensor with the Q-tip, you can see these little black particles being picked up on that. That is the leftover carbon that has been worn down from the metal brushes. Now, if you look very closely, you can actually see the shiny metal fragments embedded into the carbon sensor. And now let's take a look at the brush. You're going to notice as I brush away the carbon that's built up on the sensor, you'll notice that the metal brushes have like a very shiny flat spot on the brushes. Especially take a look at the center brush, which is the voltage range. The top brush is basically the sensor range to determine the positioning of the stick. As you can see, the voltage in the center has some serious metal fragments. And then the very top sensor, where the two lines, that is where you get the voltage change as your brush moves back and forth for the calibration, as your voltage changes between like 1.8 volts and less than a volt range as it goes up and down on the calibration of the stick. So in this recording, I only got a recording of the cleaning of the left and right potentiometer, but I did pull the vertical potentiometer off as well, as you can see here, and I also cleaned that one as well. With the potentiometer cleaned, now let's give it a test and see if there's any improvement with this potentiometer. Oh, wow, it just spazzed out. I didn't even touch it. Well, as you can see, as I'm moving this around the circularity of the test, it is definitely spazzing out, and it is not very good. It seems like it's actually gotten worse, like literally a lot worse. And you can see how it's spazzing out to the left very severely. This potentiometer is completely destroyed. So cleaning a potentiometer will not solve your stick drift and will not improve the accuracy of the joystick itself. Now, the next question is a worn out, used potentiometer that's still somewhat usable, how does it compare to a K-Silver TMR? How does it compare to a GUI kit? And the next question after that, is there any latency when using a TMR stick? And as you can see, look at this worn out stick here that I tried cleaning. This graph for the analyst is just horrible. Now, there's a couple key factors on this software you want to take a look at. You got your data points, you got your resolution, and you got your tremors. The data points are basically the amount of inputs that the software's picking up from your sensor to determine how many times that sensor has picked up some sort of inputs between its resolution. Going from center to left, that is your resolution. And the maximum resolution of a PlayStation 5 controller is 127 steps. That is the maximum resolution that controller is capable of going from center to left. If the joystick is picked up more than 127 steps going from center to left, that is the indication that the controller itself is tremoring. And that is not good, but unfortunately, PlayStation 5 controllers have a native tremor on all stock brand new controllers. It's just unclean power and not a very stable power that the controllers have. Here I'm removing the right potentiometer and we'll be installing a K-Silver TMR to kind of get a baseline in comparison between a classic potentiometer versus a TMR stick. This right here is the K-Silver TMR joystick. My installation technique is where I install the gyro first and then install the sensors afterwards. Because the way the sensors are installed, the plastic shroud likes to press down and rub against the PCB board, which can cause about a 1 to 2% tilt of the joystick, which basically will cause one side of the stick to be shorter and longer on the travel distance. So I want to make sure the joystick is absolutely perfectly centered when I install these joysticks. After the joystick has been installed, I go around, touch up the solder work, and make sure everything is absolutely perfect. Once the joystick's installed, then I add additional silicone lubricant to all of the pivot points of the joystick, so that way it ensures a long lifespan of the joystick. Now I'm going to compare the classic potentiometer versus the K-Silver. Now, as you can notice, the K-Silver potentiometer It's the plastic shroud sitting directly on the PCB board versus the classic. You see how the plastic's a little bit higher up. I honestly believe that case silver needs to raise up the plastic a little bit to make it for a little bit better insulation technique. That's why I have it separated. Now we take a look at the circularity. We're at a 5.3 in the case silver and a 6.0. The left joystick has a severe degrade in performance and towards the center of the stick. Now when I run this test on the analyst, we're going to notice that the overall tremor rate is sitting at a 77%. We had 127 steps of resolution with a 525 data points. And those data points are the direct result of the tremor of the joystick itself. Now comparing the case silver potentiometers, we're going to see how that one's doing. In comparison of the overall tremor rate, that's about a 75% tremor rate, which means that the electrical signal does have some jitters. Now I'm going to compare my GUI kit on another controller. Each controller is going to be slightly different because every PCB board may be slightly different due to capacitors and electrical noise, but the GUI kit does have a cleaner signal based on information that I can find online. And with all the personal testing that I've done so far, the GUI kit does reign pretty much king, except there are some newer case silver potentiometers that are not compatible with the classic mounting points of our current controllers that we currently have now. Overall, in comparison between a case silver and a stock potentiometer circularity rate, let's use the programming software to kind of get a side-by-side. You got the stock and you got the TMR case silver here. When I do the circularity test after doing just the native calibration, we're sitting at a 5.1 on the stock and a 4.4 on the case silver. Now I have another controller in for extreme stick drift. This controller is literally spazzing on the right stick, going absolutely crazy. And we're going to be replacing this controller with 2 case silver TMR sticks. Now I'm going to run a test on this controller real quick here, and we're going to kind of get an idea exactly what the tremor rate on this controller is on severe worn out sticks, and kind of get an idea of what you're going to expect with the classic potentiometer as the years go on, months go on. If you're gaming 4, 6 hours, 14 hours a day, these potentiometers are going to be wearing out very quickly. And you're going to be constantly fighting a potentiometer that's losing its accuracy over time. Where a case silver or a GUI kit, TMR technology is always going to stay consistent with its accuracy and precision of the potentiometer as time goes on. Now, the only thing that you're going to be worrying about breaking down is going to be the gyros. All the mechanical pieces of the joystick itself will wear down over time. The plastic on plastic will lose its tolerances, it will loosen up, the springs will then loosen up, and you will get joystick positioning issues, not drift, positioning issues of about 3 to 4%. You can always recenter the joystick as the sensor will pick up on it. Now, if you take a look here at this joystick, it is completely worn out with a tremor rate of 93%, and we have a 1,700 data points. I run this test twice in a row just to make sure a proper calibration of that stick, and this right here is an indication of a joystick that has really gone bad. With that type of tremor rate, with that many data points, I'm telling you, it's going to affect your accuracy drastically. And that's what you're not going to get with a TMR technology stick. You're going to get a consistent accuracy over time. And like I said, your joystick will wear down on the gyro components. The springs will loosen up. The plastic components will wear down. And you will have that joystick kind of begin to, just like a moving parts on your front end of your car, your steering wheel will loosen up. These gyros are typically rated between 2 to 4 million rotations. I mean, that's going to last a very long time. And to be honest with you, the mechanical pieces will fall apart way before the magnets lose its strength and the sensor chips stop functioning. Now we're going to take a look at, is there any latency or response time added to the circuitry by using TMR technology? Unfortunately, I don't have the hardware or tools to be able to test that at this time. So we're going to go take a look at Metal, Plastic, and Electronics YouTube channel to see what he has to say regarding his tests regarding this particular issue that some people claim that TMRs are just trash. And honestly, unless you have superhuman abilities, I don't think you're going to notice a difference at all.
Channel 1, the yellow trace, is the current through the electromagnet. The electromagnet is run at one polarity for the first 50 milliseconds, and then the polarity is reversed for the last 50 milliseconds. Channel 2, the green trace, is the voltage from the joystick sensor. And can see it outputs almost nothing. There is a little bit of signal there, probably because I don't have the sensor perfectly parallel to the magnetic field. I'm going to try and position it at as much of an angle as I can while trying to keep the sensor inside the coil.
The reason why he had to reposition the sensor in the coil is because, unlike a Hall effect, where the Hall effect sensor will basically read how strong a magnet is from going from left to right, a TMR reads the magnetic waves on a microscopic level of the readjustment of those patterns. It's far more sharper, more stable, and more precise than a Hall effect or even a classic potentiometer.
I can see now I'm going to have to make some different test PC boards to hold this type of sensor. Okay, now that gives me a good signal. Let me adjust it so I can see a bit better. Looks like the sensor output is following along with the magnetic field pretty closely. Let me expand the sweep time and get a closer look at the rise time and delay. Rise time is going to be faster than I can measure with this setup. It's following right along with the magnetic field, so it's fast. This is like moving along the entire axis of the joystick in less than 3 milliseconds. Faster than one can physically move the joystick with a thumb. Let me expand a bit more and see what the delay looks like. I'm at 5 microseconds of division now. Delay may be under a few microseconds. I just don't see any. Of course, there has to be some delay. It's probably hidden in the switching transients.
For those who don't understand exactly what's going on here, the delay is literally 5 microseconds. We're not talking milliseconds. We're talking fractions of that speed. Insanely quick in the response time itself. And then if you do take a look at the overall latency of the stick going from one part of the voltage of the center and all the way to the very end of the travel, that was at 2.5 milliseconds. Honestly, if you could move your joystick from center to left in under 2.5 milliseconds, you have some insane superhuman abilities. So the hater Zachary over here says, don't trust this guy. Demonizes Hall effects like Amazon demonizes unions. He also blatantly lies about the fact it will never get stick drift. You shave off getting stick drift for long, but trade that precision due to filtering that must for every TMR stick. There's a reason these ain't used in pro FPS space, despite many claiming their superiority and accuracy. Don't buy TMR for another 30 to 40 years until it's worth the price. Repair the controller yourself for half the price, or just spray alcohol on the potentiometers. As you can see, I demonstrated that you just can't just clean the potentiometers and resolve the problem. And then the matter of fact, with all the testing between other YouTubers and the testing I've shown, you're not losing precision. And the latency is literally unnoticeable. We're talking microseconds here. Like, microseconds. You're not going to notice microseconds. This guy here is a straight up hater. And honestly, if you're going to hate, you might as well hate after you have factual information than speculation. It's pure stupidity. And I'm sick of it. The stupidity is strong. I swear, plants need electrolytes. Plants need electrolytes.
What's killing the crops is this Brondo stuff.
The Brondo's got what plants crave. It's got electrolytes.
So wait a minute. What you're saying is that you want us to put water on the crops?
Yes.
Water? Like out the toilet?
Okay, look. The plants aren't growing, so I'm pretty sure that the Brondo's not working. Now, I'm no botanist, but I do know that if you put water on plants, they grow.
Well, I've never seen no plants grow out of no toilet.
Hey, that's good. You sure you ain't the smartest guy in the world?
Yeah.
Brando. Oh my God. I swear to God. We're living in a movie here. And then, second of all, this guy, I wrote an article, literally describing every technical aspect. He tells me that I'm literally contradicting myself. When I speak fact, he got pissed that I proved him wrong in the comments. He deletes the comment. Deletes everything that I say and just calls me a scammer. Brando. Plants need electrolytes. I swear to God, man. Oh my God. Oh my God, the stupidity. So hopefully this information that I've provided is enough detail that I can prove that, look, TMR technology is good. It's an improvement over the stock. If you want consistency and precision over a long period of time, and the only thing you have to worry about is the gyros and the plastic components and the springs wearing down, not the sensors, so that way you can have consistent accuracy and you're not constantly fighting a stick, progressively getting worse in accuracy. Now, PlayStation controllers are only limited to 127 steps of resolution in its accuracy. In comparison to Xbox controllers, which are far higher in accuracy, which I will be creating another video on that, and I have previous videos on my channel that you can watch talking about that information. I'm telling you right now, going with the TMR technology is going to improve your accuracy and stay consistent with your accuracy than going with a classic potentiometer. A classic potentiometer, brand new, are great. They're pretty decent in circularity, pretty decent in tremor rate, but the problem comes down to is that as you use that controller, that classic potentiometer, a month, 2 months down the road, you have a controller that is not the same as the day you first purchased it with the sensitivity of the sensor itself. So hopefully this information is so direct forward that if you do see any discrepancies of what I'm saying, please let me know in the comments. And have you had TMR joysticks installed? Have you ever had any bad experiences? And what experiences have you had with the TMR technology? Now, there are different brands of controllers out there that you can buy third party that got TMR technology, and I have noticed latency issues with those because it comes down to the motherboard processing capabilities, not the sensors itself, okay? So there's a lot of different information out there regarding different brands and controllers. It is a lot out there when it comes down to you definitely got to look up the information and find the best controller that suits your needs if you want to go aftermarket. But there's a lot of aftermarket controllers out there that have latency problems if they're not basing it off of the OEM spec boards. And then sometimes the aftermarket controllers are not compatible with PlayStation or Xbox. It's a major situation out there when it comes down to different brands. Definitely drop a follow, like, and share, and let me know in the comments what you think. Hey, Zach. Hey, tell you what, man. Get back to work either at Sony or Microsoft, because I know they are not liking the TMR technology because they're going to be hurting their sales. Nice try.